Hi everyone, this is Arcadius and welcome back to Naval Creed. Today we'll be reviewing the newest American carrier and also the newest free XP ship, that being USS Robin. She is currently available in the shop and she is for 600,000 free XP. However, there is a little bonus pack if you already have the British carrier Victorious. Where is she? Here she is. You can actually get Robin for a discount of 450,000 free XP. So you do save a little bit there. It's not too much to grind, honestly. And I'll leave it up to you whether or not you want to grind her or not. To me, there's definitely better ships to grind for, but this is the first free XP carrier in the game. So let's see what she brings to the table. So right off the bat, you can definitely see that she is a British Illustrious class carrier. She was actually loaned to the US Navy when the Navy had very limited numbers of aircraft carriers at that time. So it is a British carrier with American aircraft. But she has a very interesting kind of play style, I guess you could say, that not many other carriers of this caliber have. So, right off the bat, she is a tier 7, so she is matched with, let's go through them all. We have Hiryu, we have Ranger as well, we have Aramanche, we have Graf Zeppelin, we have Illustrious, and Ark Royal as well. So you can immediately see she's literally just a copy-paste Illustrious. So, what are the stats of this ship? Well, we have 47,100 health, we have 23% torpedo damage resistance, 114 millimeters maximum armor, so that's what, 4.5 or something like that. She does have an armored flight deck, so she still keeps the armored flight deck that the British carriers are quite fond of, and I can assure you it does work just as good as the British one. When I played my game with Robin, the first one I played, I did a dive bomb attack on her, and none of the bombs penetrated the armor deck. So she is quite substantially protected against dive bombers. However, torpedoes are still going to do damage. I don't know if you can Citadel her. I've only played against Robin in another Robin myself, but I can tell you that from shooting just a normal Illustrious from a surface ship, citadeling it can be quite easy if you get the broadside, but if you're shooting at the carrier at an angle either fore or aft, most of the shells will come in and bounce right off the armored flight deck. So if you're shooting her lengthways, you're probably not going to pen very much, and even high explosive will shatter. But if you're broadside, definitely be careful because you will definitely be citadeled. So armor is, depending on the angle, somewhat decent. Secondary guns. We have 8 secondary guns arranged in the British format of 2 on each quarter. Didn't really mess around with the secondaries all that much. Don't recommend any kind of secondary build. Anti-aircraft guns. We have 46 guns. And we have a non-fully spec'd AA. So this is still just the module, not the captain skill. These are the damages. I don't quite know how they compare to other carriers of this year. I really haven't paid much attention to the stats yet. We will do that at a later time, but for right now it doesn't really look promising. These look like pretty low numbers if I remember correctly. Hangar capacity, 70 aircraft, so that's not terrible. If we compare it to the other American carrier though, we also have 70, so it's about the same. So for Hancock, we have F6Fs, we have TBF Avengers, and we have SPD5s. With Robin, let's see what aircraft we have. We have F6Fs, we have TBFs, and we have SPD3s. So a little bit less on the dive bombers, maybe, but we'll see. So 70 aircraft, what's our speed? 30.5 knots, so pretty decent speed as well. I have no complaints about that. You only have one aircraft layout, so this is the only one you can use, and that gives you 2 squadrons of fighters with 5 aircraft each, 1 squadron of torpedo bombers with 6 aircraft, and then 2 squadrons of dive bombers with 5 aircraft each. This is actually a pretty decent layout. I have no complaints about this. You have decent fighter defense, you have decent dive bomber capabilities, especially with your good American dive bombers. Remember that. And then torpedo bombers, not stellar, but I mean, 6 of them in a squadron, that'll definitely take a chunk of damage out. So yeah, you have the armor defense of a British carrier with the armor-piercing bombs of a American dive bomber. So that is a very, very dangerous combo. So fighters, here's the stats here. Torpedo bombers, and then dive bombers. So these are the same kind of bombers you would find on Ranger, since they only do the 8,800 damage. Once you get past that to Lexington is when they get the increased damage, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, then you jump up to 12,000. So you still have pretty decent firepower. You have good armor, you have good, well, pretty good fighters. Decent torpedo bombers that'll get the job done, but nothing as amazing as a Japanese carrier. And then your American dive bombers, we already know how well those work. So without further ado, let's toss into a game and see what we can do. Alright, here we sells the game. 1 carrier, 4 battleships, 3 cruisers, and 1 destroyer. Which is actually pretty decent, because whether it's a carrier or not, or, well, depending on the carrier, I have better luck against destroyers. Anything besides Lion or Graf Zeppelin, I'm usually not that good at taking on destroyers. So it's good in that case. So we're gonna start by moving out here. We have 16 spare fighters, 10 spare torpedo bombers, and 18 spare dive bombers. So you can kind of see how she's focused with a fighter dive bomber setup with torpedo bombers as a secondary. Or at least that's how I interpret it. Alright, so let's just get our dive bombers out first, since those are loaded first, and then your fighters are the next ones up, and then your torpedo bombers reload the longest. So we're going to start by moving out towards the left here. So let's see what the targets have. Hood, pretty easy to dive bomb. Torpedoes, maybe not so much because she's quite fast, but she can't turn very well either, and she has practically no AA. Rodney, slow and fat, pretty maneuverable due to her slow speed, but she's a large target for dive bombers as well. Andrea Doria, kind of a mix of both. She is fast, but also has good maneuverability due to her small size. She might be a little bit of a harder target to hit. Miyoko Graf Space. Miyoko might be hard because how narrow her hull is, but Graf Space should not be that difficult. And then Leningrad, I'm going to hope I don't have to do anything in regards to her, because it will just be missing the entire time. Alright, so let's put our fighters around our torpedo bombers right now. I don't think I have to keep my fighters here as anti-aircraft bait, but there's nothing really better for them to do right now, so we're just going to keep them around those. And let's start getting into position. That's all we can do right now. So it looks like the left side is pretty much clear of enemy ships coming down to the direct south. They're kind of coming in at a southeast angle, so we're free to head up towards the north here, I would say. And it looks like our Hood friend over here has found himself aground, so that makes a pretty decent target in regards to dive bombs. And I kind of want to see if I can torpedo this Graf Spee. So let's see if that's decent. Yep, I would say that's pretty decent. Alright, dive bombers, let's attack here, middle section, and see what we can do. So full HP health, Hood, and 10 bombs, 2 fires, not as much damage as I actually would have expected, but I don't really have any complaints either. I mean, at least we have 2 fires. That's always nice. Alright, so we're going to keep heading north. I do have health buffs and speed buffs applied, that's why I am going a little bit faster than 30.5 knots, but don't worry about it. It doesn't change that much in the game. Alright, so everything is coming back to reload. Let's see if we can knock down some of these fighters while we wait. How is Hood doing? Well, she did burn a little. She's still burning? Yes, she is. So we, in one strike, between 10 bombs and 2 fires, we were able to destroy about a quarter of her health. Still not actually really that impressed by that. I should have gotten a little bit more, I would think, with the armor-piercing bombs, but maybe it was just a bad spot to drop, who knows. Regardless, we'll just have to try again. It looks like our torpedo bombers are going to be the first ones to be reloaded this time. So we're going to bring those out while our dive bombers reload and send them out in a moment. So the dive bombers are heading back out now as well. I'm gonna stop here because it looks like the Hood is wanting to come down south, and I don't really want to be shot at by 15-inch guns. So we're just gonna park ourselves here for a second. Alright, not quite sure why my dive bombers are not out yet. Alright. Let's see, what are our fighters doing? Not what they need to be doing. So we have a pretty stationary Hood right now who's about to run aground again. So I will definitely take this opportunity to get some torpedoes into her. Though it might be easier to come from this side now. Alright, let's get some torps into the side of her. So 6 torpedoes. Let's see, I think all of them should be able to hit. Yep, and she's pretty much gone. Alright, so let's see. I probably should have actually taken my torpedoes against the Robin, because my dive bombers are not going to do anything against this carrier. Let's get our fighters back out as well. But it looks like the Hood has healed quite a bit of her health. She is a battle cruiser, so she does have a super heal. And it looks like that is working for her at this point. Let's aim a little slightly astern of amidships to see if there's any weaker areas there for our bombs to punch through. 8 bomb hits, 2 fires again. That should kill her, actually. But I'm not too thrilled with that damage. Alright, so let's get our fighters over here. Work on these dive bombers. And then our torpedo bombers should be ready soon enough. Let's see if we can actually start moving this way again. There goes the Hood. She did end up burning down. Torpedo bombers. You know what? Let's go for a secondary brawl with the Robin. Those are always exciting games. Alright, let's see if we can take out some of these torpedo bombers as well before they get to our battleship here. It looks like the fighter power is actually pretty decent. I have no complaints about this. It's taking down the strike aircraft really, really quickly. Though it wasn't quick enough to save our battleship, I mean, I'll still take it. Alright, and then I can still show you what the dive bombers do to this carrier, but it's nothing that's going to be spectacular. And let's pop our defensive AA, since we are going to be under attack here relatively quickly. Not much I can do against the dive bombers, though. Secondaries are going to start opening up for whatever laughs that they'll give us. Here comes the torpedo bombers. So you can still see that torpedo bombers work absolutely fine. Fighters return. There's not much you can do right now. Alright, so let's see. We're going to start maneuvering our carrier as we come in for a dive bomb drop on the enemy Robin. So remember, you have the armored flight deck. And 5 bomb hits to nothing, 10 bomb hits total did actually a little bit damage, but I think I was only able to do that because I hit closer towards the stern on the second drop, which is not part of the armored flight deck. Alright, so our anti-aircraft guns are going to town, and I'm actually pretty impressed with that. I have no complaints about how many aircraft I'm shooting down. Remember, you only have 70 aircraft on this carrier total. So to shoot down, what is this, almost 50 of them? That's almost the entire air group of this carrier. We still have 2 battleships left as well. Let's see, what do we have? A Rodney and a Hood. Hood is actually coming up close towards me, and Rodney is aground. So we're going to have to start heading towards the north again. Just fine with me. Torpedo bombers are... Ooh, our fighters are up. So let's see if we can intercept the disappearing dive bombers. Just kidding. Alright, so let's see if we can finish off this carrier with torpedoes and stop wasting our time. Though I do expect her to have strike aircraft ready soon enough. She's not on fire, and she has had plenty of time to ready another squadron. So she might be able to launch one before I can sink her. Those torpedoes look pretty decent. Yep, she's gone. Alright, let's just clean up some of the aircraft. Oh, yep, there's the last strike that I told you about. And let's get our dive bombers out because the Hood is coming up on our 6 o'clock. Not much I can really do to dodge dive bombers, so if we take a hit, we take a hit. Well, it looks like we did take a hit, but they didn't do any damage. And let's see what we can do against the last couple battleships. Alright, so how is our battleship? Okay, Ronnie is full health, but if she keeps giving broadside to the enemy Ronnie, she's not going to last very long. So we're going to want to try and take out the Hood first because she's the only one that can catch us. And I guess we can put our fighters over here to keep eyes on the Ronnie, though I doubt it'll be a problem. It's not like she can go anywhere very fast. Alright, well with that kind of damage, I'm going to switch my target to Rodney. And that was a good idea because Hood automatically was just taken out. Alright, so let's see what we can do against our Rodney with our bombs. She does keep maneuvering quite a bit. Let's see what that does. I messed it up. Alright, so that one should be pretty good right there. We did lose quite a bit of a squadron, but 8 bomb hits for 11,000 damage or so. I would definitely take that. Let's bring our torpedo bombers down as well. Fighters at this point can return. And here comes the torpedo bombers. So looking at our strike aircraft at the end of the game, we have 3 fighters still, 7 torpedo bombers, and 14 dive bombers still. So we didn't go through many of our aircraft, and I don't know if that's actually a good drop or not. We might get a couple hits, but that might all we need. So 2 hits for 12,000 damage. I wonder if these torpedoes are extremely powerful or not, because that seems like a bit too much damage. Alright, so let's see how we did. That was actually a really, really good game. 188,000 damage. Not as much as I thought. 2 ships sunk, 17 torpedo hits, 36 bomb hits, 62 aircraft shot down, 6 fires, 3 floodings, 1 module destroyed, and only 1 secondary hit. But we were able to do 10,600 damage. Alright, so let's see what we did. Fires did 40,000 damage. Flooding did 700, so practically nothing. Torpedoes did 105,000 damage. and Bob's did 42,000 damage. We only attacked really 4 targets, but between each of them, yeah, we definitely took a ton of damage out of each of those, and we destroyed 62 aircraft. So at least the majority of the enemy carriers air group. And these torpedoes do 8,500 damage. What do the torpedoes on Ranger do? Also 8,500. Okay, so they're the same torpedoes. They just seem to hit a lot harder in regards to me. But I haven't played Tier 7 carriers, or at least none other than Graf Zeppelin very often. So maybe that's just me. All in all, she's not a bad carrier. And like I said, the survivability of the British carriers combined with the firepower of the American aircraft definitely is going to be a very, very hard carrier to deal with. She has the firepower to take down enemy aircraft. She has the dive bombers and torpedo bombers to attack pretty much anything. And if you are skilled enough, you can even do that or use them against destroyers. But I'm not that skilled. So yeah, she's a really, really decent carrier. She already comes with a camo. This is not a sister ship. It's just how the ship is herself. If you are a big carrier person, especially a British carrier or American carrier person, definitely look into her. If you're something like a Japanese carrier person, maybe not. Maybe try the Tech Tree carrier line a bit more before purchasing her. Or you can just go on a whim and purchase her. I mean, she's free XP, so you don't actually have to spend any money if you don't want to. If you grind enough in game, you will eventually be able to get her. Compared to other free XP ships, however, I would say that Missouri, wherever she is, there she is, or Super Yamato, or the Yamato refit, would be better in my book, honestly. But you also have Tiger and Warspite to choose from. So if you are not a battleship person, or you're just a carrier main, well, there you go. You now have a free XP carrier. With that, that does conclude today's video. And for a while, that will actually conclude videos on ships altogether. For the next few weeks, we are going to be looking at the world missions. So starting all the way from 1-2 all the way to 4-4. Now, I have realized that quite a few of you have now been commenting on my videos. So I now have a bigger fan base, so I can actually say something and have it be replied to before my next video. So my current plan for each of these layouts is to use the respective tiers. So for these, I would use tier 9 and 10, 7 and 8, 5 and 6, and 3 and 4 tier ships in each of these respective missions. Now, I only plan on using battleships at this time, but if any of you would like to see me use cruisers, destroyers, even the occasional carrier, if you really want to, definitely leave a comment down below and I'll see what I can do. But as of right now, I plan on only using battleships to beat these missions. I mean, when I first played these missions, I actually beat quite a few of them in Kawachi. So if you can do it in Kawachi, you can do it in anything. So let me know down below and I'll see what I can do to accommodate that. I will tell you right off the bat that for the final missions, the 4-1, 2, 3, and 4, I will probably only be using battleships because those are extremely hard missions. And for any of you who would actually like to play with me for the 4-4 Battle of Midway one, I cannot beat that by myself solo. I've tried it multiple times. It is not possible for me, or at least not in the way I play right now. So if any of you are wanting to join me with that, let me know ahead of time and I'll see what I can do as well. I can't make any promises, but I do know that some of you do enjoy playing with me, or at least would like to try that. So again, leave me a heads up down below and I'll see what I can do. With that, today's video is now complete. Thank you for watching and I hope you all have a good day and take care.